You've spent 30 years being someone, a title, a team, a mission. And then, overnight, that's gone. You thought the challenge was hitting the financial goal, but that was the easy part. The real test begins the Monday morning you have nowhere to be. There are 5 hidden risks waiting for you in those first 5 years that most wealth managers never mention. And the first one can destroy a multi-million-dollar portfolio before you even realize it's happening. You see, we've been told this lie that retirement is a finish line. We picture the beach, the golf course, and the endless sunrises. But as a financial advisor for over 20 years, I can tell you that's not the case. The first 5 years aren't a vacation, they're a bridge. And if you don't cross that bridge carefully, you might find yourself among the millions who regret their decision within the first 24 months. I don't want that for you. So let's jump in. It's a high-stakes transition zone where the math of your money meets the mercury of your emotions. So why is this the point where even the most prepared portfolios and people fall apart? It starts with a risk most don't see until it's too late. In the financial world, we've got a fancy name for the biggest threat to your retirement, and it's called sequence of return risk. Now, don't let the technical name scare you off. It's actually pretty simple, but it's a total gotcha if you aren't looking for it. When you were working and saving, market dips were actually your friend because you were buying stocks on sale. But the moment you retire and start taking money out, that script flips completely. If the market takes a hit in those first few years of your retirement, while you're also withdrawing cash, it can do damage that you can never recover from. I want to share some numbers with you that I think you'll find interesting. There was a recent analysis of 2 different retirees who both started with $2.4 million. They both took out $96,000 a year, and over 20 years, they both had the exact same 7% average annual return. One retiree saw some market losses in just those first 3 years. Because they were draining the tank while the market was down, they actually ran out of money completely by year 19. The second retiree started with that same pool of cash, but they got their gains early on. They finished the 20 years with $1.8 million left over. Same money, same average return. The only difference was what happened in those first few years. That is the financial cliff, and it's why you can't just wait it out anymore. You are no longer adding to your nest egg. You are consuming it. Every dollar you sell in a down market is a dollar that can never grow back when the market eventually recovers. It's like trying to bake a cake while someone is eating the batter. You'll never get to the full-size dessert you were promised. But wait until we get to number 5, because that's where the financial math hits a psychological wall that most people never see coming. Those numbers prove that even if the math holds up, there's a psychological clock that starts ticking the moment you stop going to the office. This next one is something I see all the time, and frankly, it's the one that most people aren't prepared for. You've spent 30 years or more being the director, or the partner, or the expert. Your identity is tied to your professional utility. Then comes the retirement party. You get the gold watch, and on Monday morning, you're just Joe or Mary. You're no longer the person people call when they need a problem solved. You're no longer the one making the big decisions. I'll let you inside of the tent on this. Even people with $5 million deal with this existential dread. It's a sense of loss that has nothing to do with your bank account. There's a documented trend right now of seniors seeking mental health counseling specifically for identity loss. They've achieved the financial freedom they always wanted, but they feel a sense of dread about what comes next. You've spent your life being a saver and a worker. Switching that off isn't like flipping a light switch. It takes time to realize that you are not what you do. For decades, your worth was measured by your output, your salary, and your status. Now, that yardstick has been taken away. If you don't fill that identity void with something meaningful, you'll find yourself looking for reasons to go back to work. Not because you need the money, but because you need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It raises the stakes from just saving your wealth to actually saving yourself. You have to find a new mission that doesn't depend on a paycheck. Now, that might sound heavy, but the reality is even more practical. It's not just about who you aren't anymore. It's about the literal structure of your Tuesday afternoon. We all think we want total freedom until we actually get it. For 40 years, your life's been structured by the 9 to 5. You knew when to wake up, when to eat, and when you were done for the day. That structure was like a scaffolding that held your life together. When that scaffolding vanishes, you enter what we call the honeymoon phase. At first, it's great. Every day feels like a Saturday. You travel, you sleep in, you finally get to the projects around the house. But here's the gotcha. That honeymoon usually only lasts about 6 months to a year. Eventually, the novelty wears off, and that's when the boredom starts to set in. This is why we call it the disenchantment phase. Without a routine, freedom starts to feel like a weight. You wake up on a Tuesday and realize you have 16 hours to fill, and no one is expecting anything from you. That can lead to a real lack of direction. Routine provides a kind of psychological safety that we don't appreciate until it's gone. If you don't build a new structure for your life in those first few years, you'll find yourself drifting. You need to create your own milestones and your own deadlines. Otherwise, the youth of your senior years will slip through your fingers while you're waiting for something to happen. And while you're struggling to fill your day, your closest relationships are starting to feel the strain of your constant presence. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This next one can be a little controversial, but we've got to talk about it. For decades, you and your spouse have likely been like passing ships. You both had your own worlds, your own stresses, and your own routines. Now suddenly, you're docked together 24/7. I've heard it called retired husband syndrome, but it goes both ways. You're in each other's space. You're renegotiating who does the dishes and who decides what's for lunch. It sounds small, but over the first few years, this friction can build up. Your spouse has their own established retired life, or maybe they're still working and they're jealous of your free time. Either way, the dynamic changes fundamentally. You've got to learn how to be roommates again. You've got to figure out how to give each other space while also building a new life together. This transition requires a level of communication and patience that you might not have needed for 20 or 30 years. If you don't navigate this carefully in those first few years, your support system at home can start to feel like another source of stress instead of a sanctuary. You have to be proactive about setting boundaries and finding common ground in this new chapter. Finally, there's the realization that hits around year 4 or 5, the one that makes you question the math all over again. When we're planning for retirement, we all sit down and make a budget. We say, I'll spend this much on travel, maybe this much on food, and a bit on gas. But those first few years are usually your most active and your most expensive. You're finally doing all the things you put off for 30 years. You're taking the big trips to Europe or the cruise you always dreamed of. You're buying the hobby equipment, the woodshop tools, or the new golf clubs. You're helping out the kids with their first homes or the grandkids with college. This is what we call lifestyle creep in retirement. It's natural to want to celebrate your freedom, but it can quickly get out of hand. When you combine this higher spending with that sequence of return risk we talked about earlier, you get the perfect storm that can sink your portfolio. By year 4 or 5, many retirees realize their fantasy budget was exactly that, a fantasy. You might find yourself needing to recalibrate your entire financial plan. You've got to decide if the current pace is sustainable for the next 20 or 30 years. It's a moment of truth that requires you to look at your plan with fresh eyes and a heavy dose of realism. The first 5 years are a bridge, not a destination. You aren't just retiring from something. You are retiring to something new. If you only remember one thing from today, let it be this. Surviving the transition isn't just about the math in your spreadsheet. It's about the purpose in your heart and the vision you have for your future. I want to encourage you to take full advantage of this time, but go into it with your eyes wide open. If you're currently in this danger zone, or if you're planning for it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're navigating it, and if you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button. I want to help you squeeze all the juice out of your retirement so you can enjoy every minute of it. Until next time, I'm encouraging you to use your time wisely. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.